car to drive.
Oh, it is.
This doesn't sound like any BMW I've ever heard. Hi, I'm Dennis Gage, and welcome to My Classic Car. Well, this week we're down in Stuart, Florida to visit Jim Thomas. Now, Jim's a big-time motorcycle collector and restorer, and man, does he have some great bikes. But he's also got some amazing cars, all the way from a 1913 Knox to a 1972 Ferrari Dino. But he let me pick out a couple pretty obscure cars from his collection today, and we're going to focus on a Fiat Dino, and yes, there is such a thing, and a magnificent BMW 507. These are great cars. I just need to remain focused on them and ignore all these great bikes. I know I can do it. Let's get busy. This is the 1913 Knox. Jim and his wife Dee have toured this thing all over the United States. I think he's got like 100,000 miles on this sucker. Jim, great to see you again, man.
Good to see you.
You know, we've been talking for about 10 years about doing this, but I'm finally down here. And I know you're a big bike guy, and I am too, and you've got this incredible bike collection. I really got to control myself because we're here to talk cars, because you're also a car guy. And so that's what we're going to do. And you've got, again, just a really interesting and kind of diverse collection. You're down to only about a dozen cars now, but man, they're all over the map. And I guess the other thing that I didn't realize till we talked more is that you've basically restored everything you own. I mean, whether it's the bikes, whether it's the cars, and you do it all yourself.
That's right.
The mechanical, the body, the paint, everything.
I love it. It just keeps me busy.
You're a better man than I got to tell you that.
Well, I get a little obsessed with it sometimes, but I really enjoy it. I can't wait to get to work every day.
Well, it's yeah, there are worse gigs to have, I guess. But you let me pick two that I think are pretty rare and pretty interesting. That this baby, which I've only seen one other of these, well, actually I've seen two others because you have two of them, is a Fiat Dino, not a Ferrari Dino, a Fiat Dino, although Ferrari powered, right?
Yes, that's right.
And then this really rare and what I think is one of the most beautiful cars ever made, this BMW 507. I think this is just gorgeous. Let's start here. What do you say?
Okay.
These were made in the 50s, and this is what, a 57?
57, right.
But they only made a handful of them.
253.
Did many of them even come to the U.S.?
I think most of them came here.
Oh, really?
They built them for the U.S. market, kind of.
Oh, really?
But they were too expensive.
What'd they go for?
Oh, I heard somewhere over $8,000.
In like 57?
Yeah, big bucks.
Wow, that is big bucks.
Yeah. And they sat on the floor, usually with a German car dealer that had Gullwing Mercedes sitting right next to it, which was actually cheaper. And they didn't sell these things.
This is an early one, is that right?
This is a real early one. This is what they call a Series 1. These are probably rare. I don't know if they're more desirable. They're rare only because they built less of them.
So where did you find this thing?
Ooh, it found me. A friend of mine is a doctor, owned it, used to race it extensively, did the Pan American Road Race with it.
Well, that's tough on them.
Car was thrashed
Really?
bad, yeah. And I don't know what the story was. I stripped 2 garbage cans full of Bondo off of this thing with a heat gun and a scraper.
That's a lot of Bondo.
A lot of Bondo.
Well, how about all the trim and detail work, though? If they've been raced, did you have to find all the little pieces, or was it all there?
Surprisingly enough, it was all there.
Wow, that's amazing.
I mean, it was amazing, all of this stuff. I didn't even plate this stuff. It's just like it was.
Were the gills functional? Here, I mean, did they do anything, or they just style?
That's just looks.
Is it?
And you notice the Z8s, which was kind of a retro 507.
Yes.
Came up with a lot of the same stuff.
Well, even the Z3 had
That's right.
Little, but really a nice interior and a very interesting dash, I think. Very 50s in the instrumentation, but it's these switches and stuff that I think are really cool. You know, almost no designation of what they are, just little red dots.
You have to understand what the blue dots and the red dots mean. And I'm not sure what they mean. I think one might mean cold.
And then this is, I guess, your defrost, and these little doors are the open and close, just manual. Yeah. I've never seen that. You had to bang this whole thing out.
Oh, yeah, every bit of it.
Did you have to take it apart, or did you do it all in place?
Oh, the body came right off. I did the frame. I have a rotisserie. I did the frame. It was painted body color inside and out, so it looks just about as good underneath as it does on top.
And did you have to re-chrome? I imagine you re-chromed it all.
I did re-chrome, yeah.
So what, if the 507 engine was a 3.2 liter?
3.2.
Let's go look at it.
You got it.
Boy, it's a long hood for this baby, isn't it? Oh, she really comes up there too. Wow, that's gorgeous. It's a pretty small engine.
Yep. That's why so many of them ended up with small block Chevys in them when they blew these up.
Is that what they did?
Yeah.
It's just like it's more reliable, and I can get the parts at Napa or whatever.
And faster.
And faster. Wow.
Yeah.
You've messed with the carb setup a little bit too, because
I
they were
have.
Zeniths originally, or Strombers.
Correct. I was told that they caught on fire a lot.
Oh, that's not good.
They leaked like crazy. You see the drip pan?
I mean, that
That's
came
factory,
with
factory drip pan, you know, to drain the.
And then the drip pan drained then?
Yeah, it had a little drain in the back, dumped it down there.
That's got to tell you something. That's got to tell you something.
It did. Well,
Beautiful
thank you.
engine compartment too.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun doing it. A little toolbox here.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Kind of an interesting deck here. It's not just a firewall, it's sort of a fire deck. And a cool place to put the battery too. I mean, this is pretty elegantly designed for an engine compartment, I think. You know, I've never driven one of these.
You should drive one.
You know, I think I should.
Yes.
Close it up, let's do that.
All right.
Okay, any trick here, Jim?
I'll just turn it on and then push a little white button.
Right down there.
Yeah.
Wow. This doesn't sound like any BMW I've ever heard. Maybe it's throatier, it's I don't know. It just sounds different.
I might have fudged a little on the exhaust system. I don't know what the stock one was exactly like, but I had a kind of a high performance one put on.
Not only does it not sound like a normal BMW, it doesn't look like any BMW they were making back then, I don't think.
Well, that's true. I mean, the car was just totally designed for the American market, and it was what somebody thought they should have as a sports car.
Well, you know what? It's got a little Cobra in it.
Yeah?
You know, before there were Cobras.
Yeah.
Or MGA. Are people just blown away by it? Because they've never seen one? Never even heard of one, usually?
Yeah, pretty much. Most people think it's something modern that BMW is making.
Well, it's quite a timeless, timeless roadster design.
A lot of people say it's one of the prettiest sports car roadsters ever built.
I think it is.
I think the price is starting to reflect that.
Yeah, they have really taken off. Do you drive this much, or it's really, you wouldn't want to take something this valuable out too often.
I used to drive it a lot. Then the prices started to go so haywire.
It's funny, nothing changed with the car except the price, and now you don't want to drive it.
It scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Well, it's pretty irreplaceable in an awful lot of ways.
Well, they only made a few of them, and there's a whole world of people trying to own one, it appears.
Yeah.
These are the elusive sandhill cranes.
Oh, that's a sandhill
that they
crane.
say they're so rare.
It just purrs along, though. This is a beautiful car. It's a beautiful car to drive. Well, this 507 is a fabulous car, Jim. But another car that I've never driven is a Fiat Dino. So I say we go back and we check that baby out.
You got it.
All
Let's
right.
do it.
Let's go. Man, you've got so many great bikes here. It's really, this is distracting for me. So you have probably 100 bikes, right?
Oh, at least.
Oh, at least. And they're all, it's...
Now, you haven't seen what's in the back room yet.
Don't distract me anymore, man. All right, let's talk Fiats. This is an interesting car. What is this?
Well, the way I understand it, that Ferrari and Fiat were tied up as the same company at that time, and they needed to get so many of these Dino 2.4 liter V6 motors out, homologated for racing.
Oh, for racing,
So they started putting them in different things. And they didn't just put it in a Fiat. I think they built this car especially for that motor. I don't think you'll ever see another Fiat model that looks like this one.
No, because it looks very Ferrari. It looks like a baby Ferrari.
Yeah, yeah. And they called it a Fiat Dino. It's got the same motors as that
Dino over there.
Dino Ferrari over there. Now they made these in a 2-liter, but it's a different car. The 2-liter had a different transmission. This has got a ZF box that's supposed to be a real upgrade over what it had.
And it's a 5-speed.
5-speed.
Yeah.
And it's got fully independent rear suspension. The 2-liters had a straight axle. So this is the desirable one. They didn't make many of them. I'm not sure the total number. I hear a little over 400.
The whole thing. The whole
well,
run.
I don't know if that's in 2 liters are included, but 2 4s.
I see.
For sure.
And then what years did they make these?
Right around 70 to 72.
And that was it.
I think so.
Now, is it a fiberglass car? Is it a steel car?
Oh, no,
aluminum?
it's a steel car.
Steel car. And it is a different looking car. You know, at first, you know, it's just this little roadster. And then you see, you know, this really Ferrari looking rear quarter, and you see that real Ferrari looking nose.
Yep.
But there's like a big chunk of Ferrari that seems to be missing out of the middle.
A little baby one.
So when you redid it, did you have to redo the interior and everything? Or
I did it all, yeah.
It's a nice set of gauging, though. I mean, it's nice. It's a cool dash.
It's a neat car. I mean, it really works good. It's a car you can drive every day and use. They really work good.
Man, and like I said, I mean, they're just so rare. And then, now, taillight wise, was it? Did it look Ferrari back here? What kind of did?
Yeah, pretty
much.
much.
Does. That's the same.
It's a Dino 2400, which means 2.4 liters.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look at that 2400 engine.
You want to see that?
I do.
Okay. Pull that up. Let me put that down for you. This, there you go. Drop it down.
Peg there.
There you go.
So you don't see a heck of a lot of it.
No, they've got a big old air cleaner. It's got the 3 Webers on it, just like the other motor.
Right.
Sitting in here like a normal motor, not sideways in the back.
As it does in the
As
Ferrari.
it is in the Ferrari, right.
But otherwise, it's the same 2.4.
Same motor.
That's in the Ferrari
Right.
Dino.
They had a little bit of different arrangement on the pan, I understand, because of the way the transaxle mounted in that, but it's the same motor.
But you know, it's funny because with Ferraris, you're gonna see that engine, but this they've really covered it up with the air cleaner.
Yeah, made a big deal out of it. Yeah,
Man,
right.
but this little guy runs too, eh?
Oh, they're fast.
I really enjoyed driving that 507. Can I drive this one too?
Absolutely.
All right, well, I'll just go over to this side and put it down then because
got
I'll
it.
be on that side. This would be a fun car.
It is
Be
a
out
fun
zipping
car.
around, yeah.
It is a fun car. I love it. I hear they were like 135 mile an hour car. These were not slow.
Well, it's light and you got that 2.4 in it.
Yep.
So, which I imagine revs pretty well.
Oh, it'll wind up. They go like hell. They're fast.
This baby turns on a dime. Let me tell you. Do you take this baby out much or not?
I do drive this one a lot. I think the motor's a lot more reliable and bulletproof from what I heard.
Beefier.
Yeah, you can't tear them up. When you look at it, it looks like a little baby Ferrari. They're kind of trick looking.
I'm sure nobody knows what it is.
Nope. Very few of them ever came over to this country.
Well, the only other one I've ever seen was in Sweden. And I was like, what's that?
Yeah.
It says Dino on it. But
yeah,
it says Fiat on it.
And you'd think being kind of almost Ferrari that it would have really hit money-wise, but it hasn't.
They haven't taken off.
No. I mean, because it's a Fiat, let's face it. It's a Fiat with a Ferrari motor in it.
Another crowd pleaser. So until our next meeting, remember, honor the timeless classics. I'm Dennis Gage. Happy motoring.